Officer, and today we are presenting for the assignment 1 on I am presenting group 10, and my teammates is Pang Ding Yuan, Fam Yiqi, and me as well. And I will be going through the introduction and the project of the objectives and others. So for this project, we will be doing a inventory management system and using user authentication system. So for this objective of the project, the primary objective of the inventory system with user authentication are to streamline inventory management by ensuring efficient tracking of product, suppliers, and orders. The system will implement secure user authentication, allowing only authorized users to access the platform. Additionally, role-based access control will be established to grant different permission levels to users based on their roles, ensuring the protection of sensitive data. Real-time data updates will be incorporated to provide accurate and up-to-date inventory information, aiding in better decision making and reducing manual errors. Furthermore, audit log will be maintained for all systems to ensure compliances and facilitate necessary audits. So, for the proposed design and implementation of this application, for the front end, we'll be using HTML CSS for the structure of the styling of the application and user authentication form of login and registration, and dashboard for managing inventory users and roles, so you can edit, you can delete all the stuff. So for the back end, we'll be using PHP to handle requests and connecting to the database, since we are using MS SQL in this instance, and using XAMPP to set up the developer environment, including Apache and MS SQL. And we'll be using server-side logic for authentication, role management, and inventory tracking and data validation. For the database, we'll be using MS SQL for managing and storing data related to inventory, users, roles, and logs. Tables for users, roles, product inventory records, and audit logs. Type in the username and the password. And then we'll press login. Dashboard, as you can see, we can see a products, the numbers of product, total products, and the suppliers in an active order, and then we can track any recent activities and recent orders here. And here are the orders. So here the sales order, the customer IDs, product numbers, and when did they put in the dates order, and how many quantities they order, and what are the price and the status. And let's say if the sales they want to cancel the sales order, we can cancel it here. Press OK, and the orders will be cancelled.
Hey Doctor, I'm Pang Ding Yuan. So for the creation of the database, first I will show the ERD for the database. User schema, users is linked to the rows table via the row ID foreign key. User schema rows stores row information such as row ID and row name. Product schema products linked to the categories and supplier table via the category ID and suppliers ID foreign keys. Product schema categories groups products into categories. Supplier schema suppliers tracks supplier for products. Order schema purchase orders linked to the suppliers and products table via the supplier ID and product ID foreign keys. Order schema sales order linked to the customers and product table via the customer ID and product ID foreign key. Now we create our inventory management system. Then the schema and tables like in the ERD. After that, we create 3 SQL login that has different server role and database role and permission. Then the role and permission. For the stuff, after all that, we first easily insert the data, then we create some procedure to insert data into other table, especially the user, so that we can hash the password. Then the procedure to manage order, then the trigger to manage the stock level. And these are the example usage of the procedure just now. Now for the security measure. This is how I implement them, and the result will be shown later in task 5. For RLS, policy and function predicate is needed, and this is the data masking for email with the built-in email masking. Then there is password encryption for card number and certificate encryption for phone number. This is for DD, which we need a certificate and symmetric key. For always encrypted, we need column master key and column encryption key. And the email and phone of customer is encrypted with different type, deterministic and randomized. Then to protect SA, we rename and enforce password change and password policy. For PBM, we use admin store cache and check for unsafe feature and avoid code injection.
I'm going to present the checking for our application using the strike and drag. For the threat of spoofing, we had used the instance level security server role to enforce the role-based access control, which is the RBAC, so that we can limit the user permission. We also implement the SQL server audit to record who are trying to log in into our database. Besides, for the tampering, we use encrypting data and then the backup encrypt to protect our database too. Next, we can avoid the repudiation happen by using the audit log so that we can know who login failed. Moreover, we can prevent the information disclosed by implement the role and masking, since both of them used to limit the data visibility, right? So for the denial of service and elevation of the privilege, we use backup encrypt and the RBAC for securing the database. For the dread rating, I think these around 7 because although we implement the encryption on our database, right? But the data is still valuable, so which will cause the high damage potential. So R is around 8 because the database is regularly backup, so it's easier to reproduce. So for the E, exploitability, which is 7, because our database is protected by multiple security measures, so making the vulnerability difficult to exploit. So for the affected user, I think it's around 5 because the database contains the data pertaining to both supplier and customer. When the event of the data breach happens, both entities will be affected. So for the discoverability is around 6 because our database has an audit log which will record the login field. So let's talk about the PDPA. So there are 3 types of personnel, which is app power user, developer, database administrator, which is inside this category. And then here is the explanation. So actually there are 3 stages of data in our database, which is the data collection, data storage, and the data sharing. So for the data collection, it reached the general principle that data must be collected by the legitimate purpose, since the company need to know that every employee information, right? So how compliance achieved, which collect the employee data via the consent from form and given an explanation why they want to collect the data. So the personnel is 2 of them. Here's the penalty for the data collection if you didn't reach the PDPA. So the data storage, which meet the security principle, since that the data has been protected against unauthorized access and loss, which also meet the data integrity principle, since all the data is accurate and does not modify by other, because we use the encryption, right? So here we use the encryption and access control for the database protection. Besides, the company regularly backup and has an audit log. Here is the personnel and the penalty if you didn't follow the principle. Here is the data sharing, which customer data has been shared with the supplier, which reached the disclosed principle. And then the data sharing agreement with the supplier is needed. So here is also the personnel and penalty if you didn't meet the principle. Yeah, so that's all from me. Thank you. I will pass it to my friend.
I'm Pang Yuan. For task 5, this is the instance level security. And for DBA login, the server role is sysadmin, and it has permission to view server level access and has full control over database. Dev admin login is the DB creator. It create author drop database. App power user is POC admin to perform bulk insert into databases. And for audit, we log for login fail. For RLS, if we select using admin, we can see all. If we are the staff, we can only see our own role. Then for masking and encryption with password and certificate. Then to verify encryption of database, and then protecting SA. And also for backup, a job of monthly backup is implemented, moreover encrypted with algorithm AES 256. And these are protecting against code injection with condition and policy. Lastly, the evaluation of unsafe area being disabled.